Hello, I'm Karen Antara and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my intuitive energy report for March and it's going to be a big one, so hold on to your hats. Some of the things I'm going to be talking about today, some in more detail than others, are spiritual leaders losing their light, resonance and alignment, fear programs, bombs and stargates, identity and the rise of personal power, purging and clearing, emotional stability for the expansion of our consciousness, and, wait for it, extraterrestrials. So let's dig in. Nice calming breath before we get going. Okay, so by now, most people have seen that there has been a release of the so-called Epstein files. And we are seeing the emotional fallout for some of that already. We need to remember that this is just some of the files that are being released here. Much of it is redacted. I would guess that most of it we will never ever see. And let's remember that his club is not the only one doing weird, dark, satanic stuff. So if somebody's name is not in the Epstein files, that doesn't mean they're all clear and godly and without sin, so to speak. There's other weird stuff going on in other little pockets and groups. I think much of it will be disclosed this year. This is a year for big disclosure, truth and revelation. So it's really important as well that we learn very quickly how to stabilize our nervous system. I will talk a little bit more about that as we go. So if you have been shocked by some of the information released, I need you to understand that this is just scratching the surface. I don't want to be alarmist here, but I want to be realistic. Would I recommend you to go digging deeper into some of these files and to find out more and to search into the background and look at videos and look at photos? Well, only if you feel you really have a need to. Beware, because if you dig in, and even not that deeply, to be perfectly honest with you, you will find more and more details about satanic rituals, human trafficking, child torture, sexual abuse, hunting parties, murders, cannibalism, trauma-based mind control, MK Ultra, and the gathering and supply of adrenochrome, and more. These things are not good. They are very deeply disturbing. And it's one thing to know that these things have been around and are still going on. It's another to completely delve into it and get written descriptions, victim accounts and testimonies, images, videos. When you've got all of that imprinted in your mind, it's a very, very heavy load. I don't recommend that to everyone. I delved deeply into this about 15 years ago because I felt I needed to witness it. And to be perfectly honest, it put me into trauma. And the trauma took me about 3 years to clear and recover from. Now, I don't have a history of abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse. I don't have that history. So it's not that I was re-triggering old trauma. This is just horror and trauma from what I researched and found. So would I recommend you to look deeply at it? No, I wouldn't. Not unless you genuinely feel that you need to go there and understand it. If I could go back, would I change the fact that I looked deep at it? No, I would not, because what I learned is to discern very, very quickly and accurately what is light, what is dark, what is good, what is evil. That's my way. I delve into things to learn both sides of it. Pretty much. I did that when I first came into spirituality. I wanted to study witchcraft and the occult because I wanted to understand it. And my reasoning at the time was I want to understand which path never to walk down, never to be tempted by. So clearly, maybe I'm a bit weird, but that's the way I learn things. And so that's probably the reason that I really wanted to delve in, to see and understand everything that was going on this planet, to witness it. And also, as a light worker, many of us have been healing and transmuting that through our body so that we can hold stable for times just like these, when many people around us are really, really shaky and wobbling about what they've discovered. And also to hold stability for the earth as these higher frequencies come through. So I needed to learn it that way, but maybe you don't. So I would say, please be very careful about what you read into, especially if you have any abuse in your history, in this lifetime or in other lifetimes, and particularly sexual abuse. It's possible that you could re-traumatize yourself. And also, with the way that things are at the moment in terms of people waking up to other lifetimes, etc., it's possible that you could start uncovering all of that from other lifetimes, other dimensions. So please be careful, that's what I'm saying. This is not something to play around with and dabble with. It's very horrific, serious stuff. Don't fall into morbid fascination with this. I wrote last week on my Facebook and I think on my email list and my Substack as well, I think. I wrote about a wave of collective trauma that is moving through the field from the release of this information en masse. And I've had a lot of emails from people saying, thank you so much for explaining to me why I feel, my nervous system is dysregulated, I feel anxious, when there's nothing in my immediate personal life that should make me feel that way. So it helped people to understand that this is the wave of energy that's moving through. Collective trauma, shock, horror, all of that is releasing into the field. And people that aren't even looking at that kind of thing are being affected. So this is affecting our nervous system. We are energetic beings, so it can't not affect us. So just a little heads up there to care for yourself and find the ways that you can to just calm your nervous system if you're feeling that impact. Now, I would go as far as to say that they, in inverted commas, the controllers, whoever you want to call them, they know that the release of this information into the public would put many people into states of shock, horror, and trauma. And I'm questioning, has it been done this way by design to specifically put people into trauma states? Because we know that those trauma states lower our frequency. And at this time on the planet, there is a mass awakening. The energies are coming in beautifully. The light is coming onto the planet. Many more people are awakening. But if you're in trauma, you can't do that awakening process. So I'm questioning, have they released it in this way specifically to try to hold people back? However, how can you release this kind of information in any other way, really? It's going to be horrible and possibly traumatic any way that it's released. Even if it's, dripped out gently and gradually, and even if you have to really go digging and searching for it like I did all those years ago, there is still no safe, gentle way to release this information. The internet back then wasn't like it is now. We really had to dig to find this information, but it was always there. Now it's just floated up to the top, and it's there easily available for everybody. But there really is no safe and gentle way to release this. Well, you might question, why does it have to be released? Why can't we just keep it hidden? But that's not the time that we're in on this planet. We are in a time of truth. Disclosure is going to be huge all the way through this year and beyond. And you know that as the more light comes onto the planet, the darkness is more easily seen. So you can't stop this. It's going to come up. And this is just the beginning. And this really is another level of awakening for humanity, isn't it? To actually see and know what has been going on. A shocking and horrible awakening, this is, no doubt. But then really awakening to the awareness that, in inverted commas, safe and effective is not comfortable either. Awakening to the fact that all of that was part of this, because that whole pandemic, of course, is discussed and planned within those Epstein files. It is the plandemic. It was planned that way. The fact that supposed, I'm going to say, human beings could even think to roll this out across humanity, well, anyone with a heart, a good heart, an open, clear, loving heart, and a soul that is connected. Nobody could do that if you really had your heart and soul connected like that, connected to love. So many of us were talking about this even back as far as around 2006, this pandemic that's going to roll out. And, you know, many of us already knew that that was coming. And so where are we picking that up from? You know, it must have been somewhere in the field being looked at, planned, discussed, much before the 2015 date that seems to appear in the files. And again, not all files are being released and not everything is written in those files anyway. This is just one aspect, these files. Many other people running around in the background sharing information in other ways that we're probably unlikely to see, but we know that it's all been going on. Now, what we have also witnessed in these files is the disclosure of the well-known spiritual teacher, Deepak Chopra, and his strong ties with Jeffrey Epstein. This too has shocked and horrified and disappointed many of his followers. Although I know many of us, on this page anyway, always felt a bit creeped out by him, so it's probably no loss to us. But anyway, a lot of people are upset by what Deepak has been doing behind the scenes. And of course, the Dalai Lama's name has come up again. He's in the files too. Some time back, it came up that there was a video of him asking a young boy to suck his tongue. People were in disbelief about that. No, he couldn't possibly have meant that. It's a cultural thing. Everybody explained it away and tried to dismiss it as just a misunderstanding. He did come out later and apologise for that. But he's not a dumb person, is he? He's a pretty switched on guy, I would think, as the Dalai Lama. He is a worldwide spiritual leader. He knows what child abuse is. Anyone looking at that child's body language in the video, when the Dalai Lama is pulling him in close and asking him to suck his tongue, anybody can see that the child is uncomfortable. Yet still the Dalai Lama did not release his hold upon him. This is not acceptable, ever. And even more so with his name so intricately connected with a known sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. Our mind can only imagine some of those other things that have gone on. Now, okay, you can argue and say, oh, you're just presuming, or you're guessing, or maybe you're saying, my thoughts are malicious. Not just mine, many other people are questioning this now. What I'm also interested in is through all of the commentary online about some of these other spiritual teachers and leaders who have remained completely silent over this. Some big names, many connected with Hay House, of course. People are saying that by them remaining silent, it means that they are complicit. Some say maybe they didn't even know about these dark secrets. I think they're definitely gauging on how, if they speak out, what could that do to their career? What's the impact going to be of that to their career or business? Or maybe they're just ducking for cover and hoping that their name doesn't come up. Like, there's so much to this. We can guess, we can presume, but we don't really know. I'm questioning all of it. And I will say that just because something is not in the Epstein files, it doesn't mean that everything is all well and good there. Over the years, partly because I studied cult thinking and helped a lot of people with, getting their mind clear, and after they left cults, and I've studied trauma-based mind control, I've seen lots of victim and witness accounts of inappropriate behaviour and coercion by some of the big names in the fields of personal growth and spiritual development. These are some of the people who, we've got their books on our bookshelves maybe, or they're a big name, they've always been around, and, they attract thousands and thousands of people to their events. And I've seen people come out and talk about the bad behaviour of some of these people. But it's been hushed up, pushed aside. Nobody wants to hear that of this person that they follow. And honestly, as soon as Oprah starts endorsing someone, I would say run away as fast as you can. She doesn't have a good track record of picking kind-hearted, loving people, although it may appear that way on the surface. There was all the question marks about what happened to the girls in her school, her connection with John of God, on and on this goes. As I've said before many times, the more that you align to truth, to the truth frequency, the more you live by truth in your own personal life, the more easily you can identify when something is not truth, is not the truth frequency. And I felt that with her, Oprah, and many of her guests, to be perfectly honest. Now, Hollywood celebrities, of course, there's a very dark history there too. There's only one word that brings much of all of that together. It's a substance obtained through traumatizing a child. Enough said on that one, I think. It's all pretty horrific, and this is just the start. I have a few names in my head who, admittedly, I haven't seen any evidence about, but I just feel so suspicious about, them and their islands and their waters and their submarines and the way things are moved around out there underwater, out of eyesight of so many of us. And the private jets, of course. Call me suspicious, if you like. So in this time of awakening, of spiritual teachers' darkest secrets being uncovered, I do think this is actually a blessing, to be perfectly honest. Because now we're in a time when we are supposed to step into our true power, to find our spirit within. We are being asked to think for ourselves now, to trust our own inner authority. Our authority figures, teachers, leaders, governments, systems, have lied to us, deceived us, cheated us. Have you had enough of that yet? Are you ready to start listening to your own inner authority and take your personal power back? Stop being a follower of some of the spiritual teachers and practices. Some of them are thousands and thousands of years old, and so many of us, I've done this myself in the past, I've automatically presumed that it must be really good. It must be truth. And yet, over the years, I've also pushed away many of them, discovering that there's a grain of truth, of course, but the bulk of that is about control and manipulation, many times, giving your power away to a teacher, leader, authority figure, overriding your own inner knowing because they tell you something else, when everything inside of you is saying, but that's just not true. And we've given our power away to that, to teachers, to leaders, to cults, gurus, authority figures in general. The organic ascension process of awakening and the expansion of our consciousness to bring the creation of this new paradigm onto the planet can only be done in our body, through our body. If we're sending ourselves back into the past to try to get old teachings that may or may not be relevant now, we're out of our body again. We're going somewhere else other than right here in our body. As I said, some of those teachings are beautiful and perfect for now, but we live in a very, very different world now. The frequencies are different. We're on constant bombardment from artificial frequencies. The control agenda is so different now than it was back then. Not everything that worked back then can work now. And through our connection, through going internal, inward, we can access everything that we need to move forwards and create the new paradigm. And after all, that's what we're here for. We came here to be here in this time now. Now, admittedly, not everybody did. I understand that there are some people here that this is their first time here, and they're here for their own personal soul lessons or growth. There are others of us, though, that are here to be the stabilizing force as we move through these very challenging, difficult times, because we're in a process of collapsing old systems and building new. We're in that transition phase. It's never going to be easy or comfortable, but some of us are built for that. I have many clients with truly innovative ideas, some of which they've been trying to bring through for years, and they haven't been able to, but we are at that time now where these new ideas can come forward that is going to be better, healthier for the planet and for all of us. But we're in that transition now. So we can't go backwards. We can't go to authority figures that maybe don't have our best interests at heart for the creation of the new, because it means their system will have to collapse to make way for the new. So all we've got is to go inward, to go internally through our connection to the divine. And not by floating around outside of our body. I meet so many people that don't want to be here anymore. They do everything they can to connect to what they believe is their home planet, off planet. But they're here, and they're here for a reason. And we need them. We need them here, present, grounded in the body. Not grounded in a boring way, where it's like, we're not going back to 3D grounded. We are grounded in our body in a way that brings in our expanded consciousness into this physical vessel so that we can be of value here in this paradigm shift. And so, if you are outside of your body, floating around in the astral plane, on DMT or ayahuasca, yeah, I know that's going to upset some people when I say that. But the point is, so many people are out there searching for something that the true version of can only be accessed in here. So many people now are talking about ayahuasca and DMT being the way. All that will do is lead you into another false matrix. It's time now to get into your body consciously and do the work from within yourself. Learn to trust your intuition, your inner knowing. Do your inner awareness work. Because as you release your limited thinking and conditioned or programmed mind, by doing your inner work, you naturally are going to expand your consciousness. And I know that that's what you want. The thing with this amount of light and frequency coming onto the planet is that any of our darkness or shadow within ourselves that has not been brought up into our awareness to be cleared or let go of, released, healed, it's going to be coming up, whether you want it or not. It's our own darkness can't hide from the light either, put it that way. And so anything that we need to work on that's, we might say, oh, it's a little bit unsavory, I don't want to look at that, I'll push that away. We cannot do spiritual bypassing anymore. We have to get in our body, do our work. I'm not saying go back in and sit in trauma for months and months. That's not what I'm saying. In actual fact, with the amount of frequency on the planet now, you can move through that stuff really quickly if you approach it in the right way. So as you clear and release all of this conditioning, this programming, these old beliefs, this giving your power away to other people, all of that stuff, as you clear that, you naturally will begin to expand your consciousness. It's just the way it is. That's how it works. Now, holding stable at that new level of expansion is what you need to focus on next. Don't get distracted by the next existential threat that's going to be played out in the media, because that's all they're there for, to make us feel unsafe, put us back into that trauma state. And remember, trauma-based mind control says it all. If we are in trauma, in fear, in scarcity, in lack, in terror, we are so much more easily mind controlled. And that is just a truth. So don't get distracted by what the media are throwing at you. Focus on you, your soul, your connection to spirit or God. So many of the things that have been offered to us have been distractions, including many of the gurus and the teachers that we followed over the years. Many of those videos that are sensationalist, let's say, quite dynamic, that are spread all over Instagram and YouTube, you have to question why they are so supported by other key players. Are they in the same publishing house? Are they part of the same crew? Could even be that they're part of the same, I'm going to say it, alien race with a particular agenda. We're getting wild here this week, aren't we? This month. So much more to come. There's a resonance among certain groups of these people that are all sending the same message out. If they have done the same journey, if they have been led into the same matrix, of course, when they come back into this reality, the message is going to be the same. It's just another level of mind programming. There is a false ascension matrix playing here. It was playing out here. It's here, False Ascension Matrix. It was specifically designed to trap the spiritual seeker as we came into this time of awakening, and it's specifically designed to steer us away from true organic ascension that is done through the body. I've been talking about this for years already, but never before has there been has that intention to move people into the false ascension matrix, never has it been as active as it is right now. And I've been watching it for years. So why is that? Well, clearly because the energies on the planet right now have never been as powerful as they are in terms of the ability to awaken us to our own higher states of consciousness and awareness, moving us into our soul and oversoul levels of ourselves, and helping us to remember who we truly are. And so because so many people are waking up right now, it causes a ripple effect, and that amplifies the awakening still further. You've heard the expression that who you hang around with, that consciousness expands and you all kind of move in that direction. You know what I mean? So if you are having these kinds of conversations, talking with conscious, awake people in groups, maybe communities. Somebody's knocking at my door down there. I'm going to have to ignore them, sadly. If you are hanging out with groups of awakening, like-minded people, you're all going to move into that same frequency and vibration. And so as we connect more with spiritual people who are living in truth and integrity, that awakening it expands at a really, really fast pace. So we are watching now false gurus begin to fall. The reality they manifested is beginning to crumble because anything that was created through greed, manipulation, spell casting, self-service cannot hold in this new frequency of truth and love. The words they use are correct, of course, it sounds good. They will say maybe, that they're manifesting in something in 5D, or they are helping people shift into 5D, or channeling light codes to help you move into 5D, or whatever is their story. I'm not quoting anyone in particular. But if the words they use are not vibrationally aligned to truth, it will all begin to crumble and collapse. We are seeing that happening now. And people are calling this out. People are saying, that's not in truth, that's not in alignment. Now, of course, there will always be people that don't like us, don't like our work. There are people that don't like anything that I have to say either. That's just the way things are here. And some of those are very vicious keyboard warriors, and they're very nasty, and we don't need to do that. What I'm talking about here really is resonance and alignment. There are certain people giving a message that sounds good, but the frequency is not there. It's just not holding integrity. The more you work on yourself, the more you live in truth and in integrity and in authenticity, you will be able to feel it so much more easily when someone is running that frequency and when they're not. And then it's up to you to choose. You can say, that message feels slightly off for me. And then you just move away. You don't need to blast them in the comments. You don't need to bitch about them or expose them like the Epstein files are. But anyway, here we are. If you like what I say, if it resonates with you, reach out to me. Let's talk about, maybe you want to hear some more of what I have to say, or maybe you want to work with me. It's about you feeling your way through. There are certain people that my friends love to listen to. For me, not so. That doesn't mean the person's wrong. It means there's not resonance for me. So it's literally about picking what is in alignment for you, for what you now need to learn, for your next lesson, for your growth. But you have to feel your way into this. This is not something you can think through. You have to feel this. We are moving out of mental constructs, out of that logical, mental mind that controlled everything and overruled the heart. Now we're moving into heart energy, the energy and the frequency of love. It's about our emotions. We're moving into our emotional body much more. And so we are being pushed to become more heart-centered so that we can connect deeper in love. It's difficult to feel the depth of love that we're moving into, or that is a potential for us, when we've had to shut down our heart, or when we've lived in fear or survival. And so that's why waking up to this new level of consciousness is maybe going to be a little bit uncomfortable for some people. I've talked before about our spiritual awakening is not all love and light. Sometimes there's grief and pain to be released, and sometimes we have to go really deep within to find our inner child again and bring him or her up and love them and reclaim them. Some of this work is very deep. It's not all comfortable. But when you heal at that level, your heart is so much more open and expanded. You can actually love more and give more and feel more love coming in as well. So it's very beautiful. And this is when you're doing the work, not just listening to someone else talk about it. This is living it in your day-to-day life. And raising your emotional standards, really. And holding yourself at a higher level so that you can become a new identity. The person that you really want to be, to become. And to move away from the limited version that you were, with maybe doubts and fears and insecurities. This is about stepping into your personal power. And all of the energy is coming in for that right now. So I'm talking about a new level you. The level that you know you can be, that you feel deep inside, that you can feel and aspire to. In those light moments, and you go, wow, I could be that. If you can dream it like that, feel it, vision it, you can be it. You just have to release some of the things that are weighted, holding you down, so that you can rise and step into it. And sometimes you need support to step into that. Imagine if we all lived at that high level, how beautiful life would be. And that's the energy that we need to all be holding and be stable in, so that we can create this new earth, this new paradigm that we're moving into. And that's how we move away from all of that dark stuff that's been going on here. Anyone with a loving heart and soul could not participate in that, could not agree to cover that up, could not agree to remain silent anymore. This is why everything is now coming to be exposed. People with a loving, kind heart and a connection with their soul and spirit, the divine, they don't act like that. They don't behave like that. And they pull away from anyone who is participating in that. They don't condone it. So people are talking now about World War III. The US and Israel have bombed Iran. I also wrote about this on my Facebook and Substack a few days ago or a week ago. Now, in case you forgot, or maybe you're unaware, the area around Iran, Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan, that whole area around there, large area, is the area of the 10th dimensional Stargate. There are dimensional Stargates all over this planet. You may know that. And many of them have been controlled by dark forces over the thousands of years. Now, this area of the planet that we're talking about with Iran was originally known as Persia. It was also known as the Garden of Eden. And it carries the frequency of the goddess or the divine feminine energy. Now, when you look at what has been done to females, the feminine, in that area, females and children, children, women have no rights. They have no freedom. They're basically slaves. Many of them are sex slaves. Many of them are breeders from childhood. It wasn't always that way. But there is a dark regime that took over, and it became that way. The women, the feminine, is suppressed. It's covered up with cloth. It's almost as if they don't exist, and they are worth nothing. The men are mind controlled to carry out the desecration of the feminine. That is the energy of control that has existed there in that place. Now, if we want to go extraterrestrial for a moment, because we're going to, that area is controlled by the Black Sun agenda, the fallen seraphim, the Orion draconian lineages of extraterrestrials to control the planet from that place. It's all about controlling the planet, controlling the gates, to basically usurp energy. Because the organic ascension is 12 dimensions, 12 stargates. If they can siphon energy at the 10th dimensional stargate, they will. Same with the 11th dimensional stargate as well, and others. So now people are cheering that the control has ended. Yay! The area is liberated, and we've taken back control of the Stargate. The divine feminine is released and free. Well, it may be. That may be accurate. I don't know for sure. You know by now I question everything. So yes, those guys lost control. They got rid of their leader. There's another guy ready to step up instantly, of course. But who has control now? Now remember that whatever is playing out on the physical, there are other layers playing out in other dimensions. We're talking about ancient galactic warfare here in the control of these stargates. And it is not as simple as one group of good guys getting rid of a group of bad guys. That's very simplistic. There are Luciferian and satanic forces here. That's two groups already working on the dark side. And they have had control of this planet for eons of time, and they both want control of everything. They don't play fair. They don't go, oh, a little bit for you, a little bit for us. They're always moving the pieces to try to get control. So now, if the 10th dimensional dark forces have lost control, who gets it next? Is it the 11th dimensional dark forces? Is it the Anunnaki that have it now? Who's got it? It's a big question because that's in-dimensional realms that most of us don't access every day, consciously anyway. So it's not particularly desirable that the Anunnaki now have control. And I see very strong signs of Anunnaki through many of the world government leaders. So that's a little bit disturbing. But my question is this another move towards world government and control? Or are we really stepping closer to sovereignty and liberation? That's my question now. Well, the good news is, of course, because there's always good news, that we are the power. And everything is geared towards that, towards us, towards humanity, awakening, releasing the chains of bondage and slavery, moving up, taking control back of the planet. The light coming into the planet now and over the next few years is particularly intense. It will clean up a lot of the dark on the planet and within ourselves so that we can rise, as I've said. You just really can't hold this back now. We are in this process. I think it's beautiful. I'm very, very hopeful for the future, but we have to do our work. We can't put our head in the sand and just ignore it and pretend nothing's happening. We each have a part to play. You know, you might be on a stage talking to thousands of people. You might be in a small group in your neighborhood or community, helping people, making a difference there. There are so many of us that are connected kind of on a soul level, that are here to do a lot of good on the planet. But it must always come back to holding more love in our heart and the desire to create peace. Anyone who does harmful things to another person has got a lot of work to do. Like I said, let's just quickly mention extraterrestrials again, shall we? Because I'm seeing a push to release the files of UFO. I think they're saying that Trump should release the UFO files, and I don't even know where they're held. But anyway, a big push for the release of this information. It's likely that they'll release this. Project Bluebeam is likely to be used in some kind of staged alien invasion. And again, this is all to put people into fear and terror. We've all seen the movies about, actually I haven't watched them in all fairness, War of the Worlds and stuff like that. I think they're not all as cute as E.T. Go Home. You know, some of them are really quite dark and malicious. That's why they put it in the movies, to scare us and to program us to expect it. But that is the agenda. Like, we really must see through this stuff now. So Project Bluebeam can be used to make it look like there's all these UFOs coming and whatever the story's going to be, to induce fear and terror on the people again. But with this recent move to reclaim Stargate 10, even though most of humanity don't know, most of the population don't know about Stargate 10, but isn't that interesting timing that they just got back Stargate 10 in Iran area. Oh, and now there's a push for the UFO files to be released. That's an interesting timing right there, I reckon. So hold on to your hats for that one. Honestly, if you look around you, you'll see that we're not alone here as humans anyway. You know, there was a great movie years ago. I think it was called They Live. I mean, it's like a really old movie, so the filming and acting is terrible. But if you wanted to have a look at that, I think it's still on YouTube, you'll kind of get an idea of the fact that we're not alone here as humans. Like, there are already alien, reptilian people around. You know, we see these Hollywood celebrities and they're becoming all bony and shape-shifting and eyes and all of that stuff. Like, yeah, you can say it's all conspiracy, and with AI, geez, it's so hard to tell, but you can still feel the frequency. You can still feel the frequency. You'll know it when you meet it. So don't freak out. That's not new. That's been here for a long time. Now, there are many of us here as healers, light workers, visionaries, leaders, whatever you want to call us, but we're here at this time specifically to hold balance and stability on the planet for our people and at multidimensional levels. And we have got you. So if you're feeling really unstable, if you need some support, if you need to just understand what the heck this is all about, reach out to some of these people that you know and that you trust and that you feel truth coming from. Reach out. You can reach out to me if you need support. If you want to have support to hold you as you move into your new identity level, if you need a bit of help with that, if you need some understanding about what you're feeling, processing, maybe remembering within your body as you go through this awakening process, there are many people specifically here to help. But you have to trust yourself and be in alignment with your own truth, that resonance, you know. Be careful who you choose to help you to your next stage. If you would like to talk more with me about how I can help you, or to talk about joining my sanctuary space, feel free to reach out to me and let's have a talk and see if we are a match to work together or not. So there's been a lot in this energy report. I hope you've enjoyed it. If it's been helpful to you, give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, share it with a friend that might also appreciate and find value in it. For more of my work, you can find me on Facebook. I'm on Substack. You can also join my email list from my website, which is karenantara.org. And please feel free to ask me if you've got any questions, or if there's anything that you want me to talk on. If I know about it, I will talk about it. If I don't know anything about it, then I can't. I can only talk from my experience. So, let me know what you think of today. I've raised a few questions today in this report. I'd love to hear what you think and what your thoughts are, what your opinions are, and please make them kind. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off for now. With love to all of you. See you soon. Bye-bye.